Right, everyone, welcome back. So I just want to start this video by saying you should have watched the previous 3 videos where I specifically dive into order flow, how it works, why you need footprint charts, and most importantly, why footprint charts are the way to trade in 2026. However, I've had lots of requests on which platform is the best to trade order flow. Now, there's a few that you can use, and in this video, I'm going to keep it a little bit short, but I'm going to be going over exactly which platforms you need to trade. So the best platform for order flow is, drum roll, the ATS platform, right? So the ATS platform is what I use, right? So this is the ATS platform. This is kind of what it looks like. This is the logo. It's kind of this hexagon shape kind of thing, right? So I use the ATS platform. Now, for you to get the ATS platform, you can do it right now. So if you pause this video and go to Google, type in the ATS platform and then download the ATS platform. Now, step 4 is going to be important. If you have a Mac, I understand because I don't use a Mac, but if you have a Mac, I understand that your best option will be something called MotiveWave. And so MotiveWave and ATS are the same, right? MotiveWave and ATS essentially do the same thing, but they're different platforms. You can use ATS, you can use Sierra Charts, you can use MotiveWave. Now, the other thing that I've seen is that some traders are trying to use TradingView to read order flow. Now, if you're trying to use TradingView to read order flow, this is part of the problem, where you need to kind of invest in proper tools if you want to get proper results. And so what I'm saying is, if you're a Mac user, you want to go over to MotiveWave. And if you're not a Mac user, I do recommend using the ATS platform, as it's the one that I use to trade. Now, the ATS platform is, we'll go into it in this video, right? So the ATS platform, in my opinion, so ATS, a little bit of background about it. So it stands for Advanced Trading Analytical Software, as you can see. So this is for traders who are interested in actually trading, right? So how to read the volume, how to read the footprint charts. These are all things that the ATS platform can do. It has everything you need. So specifically, this is a footprint chart trading within order flow. However, if you want depth of market and, those crazy bubbles, you can do that too. But the main thing is the ATS platform gives you the footprint charts that you need. So why use the ATS platform to trade, right? So I'm pushing the ATS platform on you, not because I get any kind of affiliates from it or I own any kind of back-end links or anything like that. I'm pushing the ATS platform on you because I think if you are looking to trade, the ATS platform will be your best platform to trade because it has all the tools you need to actually trade. So this is what the ATS platform actually consists of, right? So just before we go on to that, so my previous videos included this slide as well. But if you're trading liquidity sweeps, market structure shifts, IFEG, support and resistance, trend lines, if you're trading all of these sorts of things without the ATS platform, then this is probably where you want to kind of ask yourself the question, are you looking to trade the markets or are you looking to kind of extract money from the markets, right? So anyone can trade the markets, but very few can extract money from it. And so the difference between those who try and trade it and those who extract money simply comes down to the charts you see on the screen, right? So you kind of got this left-hand image and this right-hand image. And so a lot of the common concepts that you hear, you can chart all of them up on the ATS platform, right? So the question becomes, why aren't you doing it? Sort of thing, right? So I'm going to make a separate video on mindset and how to kind of incorporate order flow, how to incorporate your mindset to trade order flow. That's going to be a separate video. But just for this video, we're going to be going over the basics of kind of how to set it up, right? So the ATS platform or the footprint charts essentially have this data. So I've been through this in previous videos, so I'm not going to go over this again, but we're going to be going over my ATS settings, right? So I'm just going to get that up now. Right, so this is the ATS platform, right? So my particular settings are I like a black screen and I've got my key levels kind of marked out, right? So these are sort of the key levels that you want to be looking at. So I've got different ways to kind of get my key levels sorted. So for those who trade the ATS platform, this is ES futures, right? So ES futures or NQ futures, this works on Bitcoin, this works on ES futures, NQ futures. This works on any market that has buy and sell orders, right? Which is basically all of them. So if we just take a look at what this represents, right? So this is the ATS platform. So you can see candles, right? Just like TradingView or any other platform. And then you can see the same candles on the right, but this time we see what's going on inside the candle. So ATS allows you to see this better than any platform, order flow platform, in my opinion. So the candles become footprint charts, and these are the settings you want to use, right? So the settings here, right? The settings here, right, correspond to these candles here. So I'm going to show you how to do that on the ATS platform, right? So what you do here is if we just kind of, what you do, if you keep zooming into the candles, you will have access to this data. And so this is the ATS platform again, and you can just right click on the screen, right? Now, when you right click on the screen, you will see this box. Now, this box is visual settings, footprint charts, trading settings, and templates, right? So if we go back to the screen, what this means is you want to go to visual settings first. So you can set your background. So I've done it to black. You can set your open, high, low, and close colors. You can then look at things like if you want a crosshair, background color, how big you want your text, all these things, right? So this is candles going into footprint charts, right? So it's important you understand you can change the settings to suit your, I guess, need, right? So for example, if you wanted to change your background setting, for example, to white, I'm pretty sure you can do that, right? So you can change the background setting to white, for example. So now I've got a white background setting, and of course the footprint charts kind of mesh to be like that. So for example, if these are your footprint charts over here, you can then go to the footprint chart settings, right? And you can change the color of the actual text, right? So you can go here, you can look at the text and you can change it to black, right? So now we have black text, or black numbers, should I say, right? So from here, we can see here, every single candle shows you the buy and sell contracts for each price. So on ES, for example, 68.07, we had 779, right? So we can see that the market gives you, or the ATS platform gives you, all of the footprint charts, right? And the most important thing is you want the delta. So we're going to speak about that soon. So my footprint chart settings will look like this. Again, this is a footprint chart, and this is how you want the candles to look, right? So I see a lot of traders, what they'll do is they'll try to use things like TradingView or Go charting, all these things. Now, the problem with that is that it doesn't kind of give you the immediate kind of day trading results you want. Now, if you're swing trading, this probably doesn't apply as much, although it should, because, you know, markets are fractal, right? But the general gist of my footprint chart settings are you want to understand the bid and the ask. And so I've been through this in the previous videos. The bid represents the aggressive sellers. That's the left number over here, the left number, and then the ask represents the aggressive buyers, right? So if we go here to our footprint charts, what we can see here is that we have two numbers. In the candle, we have two numbers, right? So the left is the aggressive sellers, the right is the aggressive buyers, right? And so we will use those, right? We will use those. Now, what's important now is you want to understand this thing over here. So this is where I see a lot of people going wrong. You want to understand the delta profile. And so this is why I recommend you using a proper platform. Like if you want to trade, right, you then need order flow. And if you want to trade order flow, you then need to understand the delta profiles, right? Because the delta profiles are basically what gives you the story when you're trading, right? There's nothing else that can allow you to do that. I've been through this in previous videos. So the reason why delta profiles are important is because you want to know to what extent buyers are aggressive, right? So the reason why delta profiles are so powerful is that the length of the rectangles indicate to you to what extent the aggressive buyers are, more aggressive, or the aggressive sellers are more aggressive than the buyers, right? So what that means is, I'll give you a live example here. So if you just take a look at these two screens here, what we can see is 709 for 1K. So the difference here is about 300. Whereas if you look here, for example, you see 712 for 779. So the difference in the delta here is only about 65, right? So this is the delta of 300 or positive 300. This is a delta of only about 60, whatever that is, 65 or 67, something like that. So by using the delta profile, you can in real time have a gist of exactly where the aggression is highest, right? So how we define delta is simply the ask minus the bid. And so when you have a greater delta, it means that there's a greater amount of aggression, you could say, right? So if we go here, for example, what we see here is, again, if I use a different example, actually, we can see here 1K for 746. So let's just say that's 750. Delta here is negative 250 or 250 more aggressive selling. Whereas if you look here, for example, right here, we can see the delta is smaller, or the profile, it's a smaller rectangle compared to here. So here, the delta is about 250. Here, it's only about less than 200, maybe 150. So you can see here how using the delta profile gives you an accurate representation in real time who is aggressive, right? Or by how much buyers are aggressive, right? By how much the sellers are aggressive. So using the delta profile gives you the opportunity to do that. So yeah, it was a bit of a short video. That's all I wanted to cover. So I'll quickly go through the basics of what we went through in this video. So it's about understanding a couple of things, right? So the one you want to be using is the ATS platform. If you have a Mac, you want to use MotiveWave. Now, MotiveWave also gives you footprint charts the same way that the ATS platform gives you, right? So what you want to do is you want to kind of have candles that give you a delta profile, that give you, the numbers you need, right? So delta profile, you can also see volume profile inside the candles. And so if I break that down for you as well in this video, what you can see is inside of every candle is the delta profile. Now, it's important for you to actually have this profile so you can see where in the candle is the most amount of aggressive selling. So here we can see it's concentrated here. We have some buying over here, and there's not much activity over here. Whereas if you look over here, this is what's interesting. You want to see that with this candle here, very interestingly, we had a rejection to the downside. What's interesting here is that we had a lot of aggressive selling. So we can see the buying activity, or the aggressive buying, is a lot more, I guess, prominent at the top where the wick is, compared to at the bottom, we can see a lot of sellers coming in. So having the delta profile as well as the colors give you a proper representation of what's going on. Right, so make sure you kind of use a proper platform to trade, right? Not any of this training view or go charting nonsense, right? You want to seriously use a platform that's reliable. So with footprint charts, what you can see here is you can see delta profile. You can change it to full row. I don't recommend traders doing this because this is not very accurate, right? I don't see why you should trade this way. Some people do. You can use the bid and ask profile, so it shows you, is the ask bigger, is the bid bigger? You can use the profiles like this. You can see volume profile, so you can see how the volume is situated inside of the candles, right? So this is now the volume. So volume we define as bid at plus the ask. So we can see here how there's more volume at the top of the candle, there's a lot less volume at the bottom of the candle, right? The other settings you have, you can use trade profile if you want. Delta profile is the one you need, right? Because the delta shows you the difference between the aggressive buyers and sellers, and it's the delta that will tell you in the long term. It's the delta that's going to tell you in the moment who is aggressive and therefore who is passive, right? So I'm going to be covering that in a lot more detail in the next videos. I have covered that in previous videos. You can use a ladder, which to me looks weird. I wouldn't recommend using that. Or you can use, different versions. So it's different versions of the same data, right? But what you want to do is you want to use the delta footprint charts to give you a full indication as to how to kind of crack these markets, right? So with that being said, I've got a lot more videos on this series, and I look forward to seeing all of you in the next one.